Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me here on LinkedIn Live. My name is Makita Waterman. Today, we're going to be talking about how to stay focused during difficult times in your life. I do believe that we all have a moment in time where either we're kind of ridden of a lot of worry and doubt, or we're actually physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, etc., going through different things where we can't seem to stay focused, and a lot of our thoughts are running in our head of who, what, where, when, why, and how, and sometimes even the unknown. And this can happen to the best of us even after several years of continuing to do coaching to become the best version of myself. I have these moments every day, if not every week. So if you do feel that this conversation can help somebody, please feel free to share it with them. We are going live not just on LinkedIn, but we're going live on Twitter and my YouTube channel, all things content and branding. And if you have any questions, comments, ideas, maybe you're going through one of these situations, leave a comment below and I will do my best to answer with the best of my ability. So I want to start off by saying that no matter what you're going through, even when you're going through a very good time in your life, there's always a possibility that you can get caught up with a lot of different things. Maybe you had a successful project at work, or you did a presentation for somewhere for business and it went well. Everybody gave you feedback, but maybe you are someone who's a lot like myself, a perfectionist, and for whatever reason, you're a bit worried about maybe the lighting was off, or maybe you're worried about the fact that you were unable to get to the east wing of the building to do that presentation, and they had to quickly move you to the west side of the building. And you start to worry and get into this mental kind of merry-go-round where it just doesn't seem to end until maybe you go to sleep or you go to the gym, or I don't know, you drink your favorite smoothie. We all kind of do things, whether it's healthy or not, that help us get out of a certain train of thought. But the unfortunate thing about doing things that are temporary, like going to the gym when you're stressed out, is when COVID happened, I don't know if the gyms were closed because I exercise outside, but what if the gyms were to close one day? What if gyms become non-existent and it's a virtual gym? And that virtual gym isn't the same as your physical gym. So the thought process right now is any kind of vices that you have that might be unhealthy. It could be gambling, drinking, taking your anger out on people, whether you believe it, agree with it, realize it or not. These are all temporary. And if they're negative things that you're consciously doing to feel better about yourself, we all understand the thought process of karma or just energy. Whatever you put out, it comes back usually 10 times fold, usually not in that situation, but it could be in an entirely different situation in your life. We have to take accountability and really think about what vice are you focusing on to get out of that certain train of thought of worrying when things are going well or when things aren't going well. The other point that we want to think about too is if you are constantly thinking more than living life and enjoying the blessings that you have, or just let's take, for example, I like to walk when, not necessarily when I'm stressed out. For me, it's a daily thing, it's a part of my exercise routine. But let's say you like to take those long walks or long drives when you're stressed out. Now, the thought process when you do that is, when you're doing that, are you still thinking about the problem? Are you walking to think about the problem and solve the problem? Are you walking to just look outside and see the beautiful trees and breathe the fresh air? And are you walking on that beach to look at the ocean or look at the lake or a river, whatever your situation is? This is just an example. Are you actually walking to solve that problem and fix it? Because if you're in your vices, whether they're healthy or not, we have to ask ourselves, while we're doing that thing, that gym thing, that walk thing, that drinking, if you're a gambler, for example, is it to solve the problem, or are you releasing that stress and that worry and that concern in the act of trying to get yourself in a really calm, peaceful place? That's a question you might want to ask yourself, because if you're walking to solve the problem, you're not really enjoying the walk. You're not really enjoying the trees. You're not really connecting with nature, or even just connecting with people that are walking by that could actually potentially solve your problem. Because if you're walking just to walk, if you're at the gym just to be at the gym, and you're not thinking about your problems, or you're not allowing all that stress to really weigh you down, that experience is much more different than if you're saying to yourself, okay, you know what, I'm stressed out. uh, Today didn't go the way that I wanted to, but I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to enjoy the gym. I'm going to enjoy the music. I'm going to enjoy the endorphins going on as I'm on the elliptical or running on the track field. And when you have those moments versus I'm going to the gym just to get my mind off of something, although you probably are still going to think about it, you meet people, you see things in the gym that you didn't notice before. You see that they have a yoga class going on. You see that they have a basketball court and the basement floor, because every day that you went to the gym, or every day that you went out to walk, it was just to think and problem solve. So try to do your best to see if that's what you're doing. The other thing that I want to talk to you about when it comes to thinking too much about your problems and being in a state of concern that the more you think, the more the problem is going to be solved. That is 100% false unless you have the formula for success, unless you know exactly what it is that's going to get you out of that situation. Um, I do remember back in the day when I used to worry a lot. If you don't think people can tell that you are a mentally and emotionally scrambled person, or you worry a lot without saying it, a lot of people can tell these things. I remember I was at work and I was worrying about something, but I didn't say anything to anybody, and nobody really knew what I was thinking about. And somebody passed by and said, you know, if you keep thinking about the same thing, it's not going to solve the problem, right? And it made me think, because the person was right. So all of that worrying that I was doing, all of that doubt and fear at that time in my life, was actually causing more problems for myself. It could have caused health problems. So if you're doing a lot of thinking and you're doing a lot of worrying, just keep in mind that this could potentially cause health problems at the end of the day, physical ailments, viruses. Your immune system can be totally disrupted during a time of COVID, for example, because you're in a state of worry. So if there's another pandemic, you're probably going to be more susceptible to getting sick and catching the flu or whatever's going on in your city, because you're worrying a lot. So these are just the outcome things that I'm talking about, and the what things that I'm talking about. But let's get into the how. So I don't want to give you anything uh, over your head right now. I'm just going to start with a very basic thing that you can start doing, so that when you start worrying, you can do your best to take small little miniature baby steps to get out of that train process. So the first thing that I would ask you to do, and I'm sure your parents have said this, or your grandparents, or you've seen it in a movie, but while you're sitting there worrying about a person, place, or thing, let's say it's another person, I can guarantee that in that moment, if you dedicating your minutes, your hours, your years. Sometimes people are even holding on to things that happened decades ago. While you're worrying about that person or that situation, I can guarantee that person has moved on with their life. So let's just really sit and think about that. You're worrying about what somebody said or did to you a minute ago, a month ago, a year ago, a decade ago, in your childhood. That person probably moved on with their life and is doing their best to be the best version of themselves in whichever way capacity, or they're just moved on, and you're still stemming and focusing on something that has no longer value to that other person, place, or thing, right? The other thing we have to think about too is when you're going through your situations, you have to ask yourself, if I'm still thinking about that thing, that situation that has happened, um, where is that thing and situation? Is it still moving forward? Does that person, place, or thing still doing what it has to do, still moving forward, still laughing, still enjoying life, still present, still thriving possibly while you're focused on doubt and etc. So you really have to ask yourself these kind of things, and you don't ask yourself these things to make yourself feel bad. One second. Sorry about that. So you're not necessarily asking yourself these questions because you want to guilt yourself, but you're just kind of trying to make light of the situation, right? Or if you're going through these kind of circumstances where you feel like you're worrying or thinking a little too much about something that you can't control, you have to ask yourself, is this a liability, or is this addition to my life? Is this taking away from my life and my happiness and my peace, or is this making me feel worse? And if the answer is yes, it's making you feel worse, no, it's not adding to the high quality or the value of your life, now it's time to let it go. Now, the letting go part is going to be specific to all of you because I can give you what works for me, but that might not necessarily work for you. But I can give you some tips in what I've learned through coaching with my coach, Cecil McIntosh, is typically what he has taught me was really a breathing exercise. And Cecil and I have talked about this in some previous live streams when both of us were going live for several months. But when you're going through a situation, breathe. So breathe for until all of the air is out of your diaphragm or your lungs or your chest, whatever you want to call it. Hold it for 3 seconds. Now, if you have some health issues, you might want to speak to your doctor before you do this, but hold it for 3 seconds. And then as you release the air, kind of put your mouth in a way as if you have a straw in your mouth. This is what Cecil taught me. And just breathe out until all of the air is out of your diaphragm, lungs, chest, whatever you want to call it. And that is just one little step, but it's not necessarily going to fix all your problems, but it will get you in a much more peaceful state of mind so that you can calm down a bit, relax a bit, chill a bit, so that you can go on into that meeting. Or if you're an athlete, you can get back on that track and get that gold medal, right? Because it's just the little things in life that we do that can really, really get us back on track, no matter what's going on in life. The other thing that I want to say too is that negative thoughts are completely normal. Negative thoughts are completely normal. And negative thoughts are completely normal, and we all get there at times. We all have these moments and things like that, but you don't have to live in a constant state of rethinking things or thinking about how things could have been or thinking about that person that hurt you decades ago. And this person's moved on, they're married, they've relocated on Facebook, they have children, they are have a new career or business, right? So I do believe the most important thing that we can do is, I always say this, is just take accountability for where you are. Know that these things are happening, as we all have heard before, they're happening for a reason. You might not know that reason in the moment, but adding to your journey of life, any kind of intentional, conscious or subconscious thought processes that can really put you in a back seat of really stagnancy, of just staying in the same place in life because the thoughts keep going or you keep worrying, is not really going to help with your progress. And um, if there's anything that you could do this year, if you're thinking about doing therapy, doing coaching, getting a mentor, personal development, reading self-help books, whatever your route, whatever your journey is meant to be, I think the biggest thing that you can do is just really try to master your emotions in the moment of that happening. It could be that little breathing exercise that I did. But what I've been learning along the way through my coaching sessions and things like that is these little things that we do, like going to the gym or going to the park. These are great things, like doing things other than breathing, because hopefully you don't have any health issues. You can control your breathing and do that little exercise. But let's talk about things outside of our physical body. We have to be careful for depending on anything or anybody to really get us in a good place mentally and emotionally, or even financially in life, from a long period of time. Because if that, like I said, if COVID happens again and they close the parks, or there's a pandemic, or there's something going on in your, and they close the gyms for a year, what are you going to do, right? Or we just never know. But uh, just with the last 5, 6, 7 minutes that we have left, I do believe another thing that you can do is just really in the morning try to prep yourself up. Everybody talks about mantras and rituals and routines, but try in the first thing in the morning, try to do something that is going to make you feel like everything is going to be okay. Make you feel as if you have control over at least the morning, because if you have confidence that you have control over the morning, you'll definitely have control over the lunch and the evening and the nighttime, of yourself, not necessarily of what people say or do to you, but just of you yourself, etc. And while you're doing that activity, whether it's meditation or just an hour of silence, or I don't know, maybe you do walk in the morning, try to think more of the beautiful things that are happening in your life, such as your blessings and your children, your dog is healthy, you have a roof over your head, you're going to Cabo next week for vacation. Like, try to think about the positive things that are happening. And the last thing that I will say is, if you feel as if you've been doing everything, you've been on this planet and living and breathing for the past 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, 90, etc. years of your life, and you've tried everything in the book, all of the YouTube channels, all of the self-help books, and nothing seems to work, I am a big advocate of seeking professional help. It's one of the best things that anybody can do. It's a sure enough way for you to start taking accountability of who you are, and where you want to be. But getting professional help is a great strategy, because when you seek professional help from somebody who is not your necessarily a family member or a friend that has their own biases, or they know you a little bit more, maybe a complete stranger that you get to know through these sessions or meetups or whatever your situation will be, this is a sure enough way for them to see things that you don't see. Because, like I always say, like Einstein says, doing the same thing over and over again and getting a different result is insanity. So you could literally be driving yourself to what might feel like insanity, like a mental and emotional merry-go-round that just keeps going around and around, because you don't really have anybody in your life to really look at your situation, your worries, your thoughts, your mental breakdowns, etc., to really tell you what it is that you're doing and what you're allowing outside of yourself to do to impact you, to where you are right now. And that is, to me, a step towards being the best version of yourself, is saying to yourself, admitting that nothing you do is working, and now it's time to get some help. And then the second last thing that I will leave you with is, even if you do therapy, you get a coach, you do some self help, some personal development, you're still going to have things that will come to you, whether it's a worry, a fear, a thought. And that is something that you kind of just have to accept, that your feelings are your feelings, your mood is your mood, your thoughts are your thoughts. Life is life, and you can't always control whether you're going to have a negative thought or a feeling. The most successful person in your industry definitely has, but what makes them super successful is how they process that thought, how they process that mood, how they process that feeling, who they go to when they don't know what to do or how to process it in a healthy way. And them actually taking a chance and investing in themselves, whichever way that they're doing it, is a testimony of taking the first step to becoming the best version of yourself. So I hope this live stream helped. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, thoughts, additional things to add that I did not add in these beautiful 20 minutes, please leave it in a comment. If you have any ideas that you'd like me to share for the next live stream, let me know. And again, if you feel that this conversation, this live stream can help a family member, friend, associate, business partner, feel free to send it to them. Thank you so much for your time on this beautiful Sunday morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are on the planet. And thank you for your support. Take care.